The giant crystal chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with angry voices. 3 weeks had passed since the human ambassador had laughed at the demand for Earth's surrender. The alien leaders still could not believe what had happened. High Arbiter Vexdal struck his glowing staff against the floor. His blue skin turned darker with rage. "Those humans mocked us," he shouted to the room full of alien representatives. "They laughed when we gave them our final warning." Around the circular chamber, other alien species showed their anger in different ways. The Viridians, who looked like walking crystals, made sharp ringing sounds. The Nephilim, floating clouds of gas in clear containers, turned bright red. The warlike Crothan clicked their claws loudly. "Sir," spoke War Commander Thekron, his 6 arms crossing over his armored chest, "the humans are just babies in space. They only learned to travel between stars 100 years ago. We have ruled the galaxy for thousands of years." "Exactly why their behavior is so insulting," hissed the Viridian speaker. Her crystal body flashed angry colors. "How dare they refuse our generous offer to join us peacefully on the other side of the galaxy?" Things looked very different. Deep underground in what used to be called NORAD, Admiral Park Jiho sat in a chair facing dozens of glowing screens. The screens showed the positions of alien ships throughout space. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp and focused. "Dr. Kim Yuna, please report," he said into his communication device. "Admiral, all systems are ready," came the voice from Luna Base on Earth's moon. "Project Prometheus is fully operational. Every hidden platform is in position. The aliens still have no idea what they are flying into." Park Jiho smiled slightly. He was 55 years old and had been planning for this day since humans first met aliens 10 years ago. The other human leaders had thought he was being too careful. Now they understood why preparation was so important. 3 years ago, when first contact happened, most humans had been excited. Finally, they were not alone in the universe. But Park Jiho had studied history. He knew that when advanced civilizations met less advanced ones, the results were usually bad for the weaker side. So while diplomats talked and scientists shared knowledge, Park Jiho had quietly built defenses. He had studied every piece of alien technology that came to Earth. He had learned their battle tactics by watching old recordings of their wars. Most importantly, he had figured out their weaknesses. "Colonel Bay Miho, status from Mars base," Park Jiho called. "Sir, our fake ships are in position," came the reply. "The aliens will see exactly what we want them to see. 30 old ships that look scared and weak." Park Jiho nodded. The 30 ships orbiting Mars were actually empty shells designed to look like humanity's entire defense force. Inside each shell were advanced weapons that the aliens could not detect. But that was just the beginning. "Captain Limdo Hyan, report from the asteroid belt." Park Jiho continued. "Admiral, 200 stealth ships ready and waiting. The alien sensors cannot see us. We look like regular space rocks to them." This was the real trick. For 3 years, humans had been building a secret fleet. They had hollowed out asteroids and turned them into invisible warships. They had created new weapons that worked differently from alien technology. Most importantly, they had learned to think like humans, not like aliens. Dr. Kim Yuna's voice came through the speakers again. "Admiral, I'm watching alien communications. They're sending what they call a warning fleet to Earth. 200 ships. Their commander thinks this will be an easy job." "Good," Park Jiho replied. "Let them think we are weak. Let them believe their own lies about human primitiveness." On his main screen, Park Jiho could see the alien fleet moving toward Earth's solar system. They were flying in perfect formation, like they were in a parade. Their ships were beautiful and powerful, designed to show off alien superiority. But Park Jiho knew something the aliens did not. Humans did not fight the same way aliens fought. Aliens had rules for war. They believed in honor and fair fights. They thought the strongest should always win. Humans had different ideas. When humans fought, they fought to survive. They cheated. They lied. They used every dirty trick they could think of. And right now, they were about to teach the galaxy's greatest military powers what human warfare really meant. All stations, This is Admiral Park Geo. He announced to the secret bases throughout the solar system, the aliens are coming to force our surrender. Instead, they're going to learn why humanity survived on Earth for so long. They're going to discover that sometimes the prey becomes the hunter. He looked at the alien fleet on his screen one more time. Tomorrow, the galaxy would be a very different place. The species that had demanded Earth's surrender were about to find out why Ambassador Lee Hanna had laughed at them. The real joke was just beginning. War Commander Thekron stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars through the massive viewing window. His 6 arms were folded behind his back in a relaxed pose. This mission was beneath him. A warrior of his skills should be fighting real enemies, not scaring primitive humans into surrender. "Commander, we are approaching the human solar system," reported his navigation officer. 200 ships in perfect formation, just as ordered. Thekron nodded slowly. The Galactic Council had given him enough firepower to destroy entire planets. All this force just to make some young species behave properly. It was almost insulting to his abilities as a military leader. "Sir, our sensors are detecting human ships," called out another officer. 30 vessels orbiting the 4th planet. Mars, I believe they call it. "Only 30? Thekron clicked his mandibles in amusement. "Show me these so-called defenders." The main screen flickered to life, showing grainy images of human ships. They looked crude and simple compared to Galactic Council technology. Their hulls were rough metal instead of smooth alien materials. Their weapons looked basic and outdated. "Intercept their communications," Thekron ordered. "Let us hear how terrified they are." Static filled the bridge speakers. Then human voices came through clearly. The aliens had learned human languages years ago during first contact. Mars Defense Control to all ships. Enemy fleet detected at 12 units distance and closing fast. The voice sounded panicked and scared. "Our defenses are not strong enough. We need to start evacuation procedures immediately." "Admiral Park, this is Colonel Bay Mio from Mars Station." Another voice broke in. "The alien fleet is massive. 200 ships. Our 30 defenders cannot possibly hold them off." Thekron's officers looked at each other and made clicking sounds that meant laughter in their language. The humans were already falling apart just from seeing their fleet approach. "Reduce speed," Thekron commanded. "Let them get a good look at our power. Perhaps they will surrender without forcing us to waste ammunition on such weak opponents." Far away, hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid, Captain Lim Do-hyun listened to the alien communications with a smile on his face. His stealth ship was invisible to alien sensors, looking exactly like a regular space rock. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations, preparing weapons that the Galactic Council had never seen before. "Sir, Colonel Bay's performance is perfect," whispered his communications officer. "The aliens are completely convinced we're panicking." Captain Lim nodded. Colonel Bay Miho was actually sitting safely in a bunker on Luna Base, not on Mars at all. The panicked radio messages were carefully written scripts designed to make the aliens feel overconfident. "Contact from Dr. Kim Yuna," the officer continued, handing Lim an encrypted message pad. "All stealth units. This is Prometheus Control." The message read, "Enemy fleet positioning exactly as predicted. Maintain invisibility protocols. Remember, we only get one chance to show them what humans do when they think we're helpless." Lim looked around his bridge at the 20 crew members who had volunteered for this mission. They were all young, mostly in their 20s and 30s. Many had never been in real combat before, but they all shared something that the aliens did not understand: the human refusal to give up no matter how bad things looked. Back on the Crothan flagship, Thekron was enjoying himself. The human communications were getting more desperate by the hour. "Admiral, we've lost contact with 3 outer defense posts," came another fake panic message. "They're not responding. The aliens must have some kind of long-range weapon we didn't know about." "Sir," one of Thekron's officers reported, "the humans appear to be abandoning several positions. Our sensors show ships fleeing toward their inner planets." This was also part of the human plan. The fleeing ships were empty drones programmed to look like evacuation vessels. But to alien sensors, they looked like proof that humanity was already collapsing. "Excellent," Thekron said. "Begin final approach. Standard battle formation. Energy weapons to minimum power. We may not need to destroy anything at all." What the aliens did not know was that hundreds of human eyes were watching them from hidden positions throughout the solar system. Every asteroid that looked natural, every piece of space debris that seemed harmless, every communication satellite that appeared abandoned, many of them contained human observers with advanced weapons. Captain Han Tae-jin, hiding his ship inside what looked like a broken comet, watched the alien fleet move into position. "They're flying in perfect formation," he whispered to his crew. "Just like their military manuals said they would. No creativity, no adaptation. They always do exactly what their rules tell them to do." Dr. Kim Yuna, monitoring everything from Luna Base, felt a mix of fear and excitement. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn something new about warfare. For thousands of years, galactic conflicts have followed the same patterns. Bigger fleets beat smaller fleets. Better technology won over worse technology. Stronger species conquered weaker ones. But humans had never read those rules. And they were about to teach the galaxy's greatest military power that sometimes the best way to win a fight was to make your enemy think you had already lost. The trap was set. Now, they just had to wait for the aliens to walk into it. War Commander Thekron raised his primary arm, ready to give the attack order. His fleet was in perfect position. The 30 human ships near Mars looked small and helpless compared to his mighty war machines. "All ships, prepare to fire warning shots," he commanded. "Target their weapons only. We want them to surrender, not die." But before his gunners could pull their triggers, something impossible happened. The 30 crude human ships began to change. Their metal hulls split open like flowers blooming in fast motion. From inside each ship, massive weapons emerged that the aliens had never seen before. What is this?" Thekron stammered, his 6 eyes widening in shock. His question was answered immediately. The asteroid belt, which had been quiet and normal just seconds before, suddenly came alive with light. Hundreds of rocks that had looked natural began moving. Their surfaces peeled away like fake skin, revealing sleek warships underneath. "Sir, new contacts everywhere," his sensor officer screamed. Hundreds of ships decloaking. They were hidden in the asteroids. Captain Han Tae-jin, commanding the disguised mining platform Defiance, spoke calmly into his communicator. "All units, this is Defiance. Execute attack pattern Delta. Remember, we're not here to fight fair. We're here to survive." The battle that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. The aliens expected ship-to-ship combat, with both sides lining up and firing energy weapons at each other until one side won. That was how civilized species fought wars. Humans had never been civilized. Instead of lining up for a proper battle, human ships attacked from every direction at once. Some came from above the alien fleet, some from below, others from the sides. They moved in wild, unpredictable patterns that confused the alien targeting computers. "Return fire, all weapons." Thekron roared, but his gunners were struggling. The human ships were too fast, too small, and moved in ways that made no sense. Then came the asteroids. Real asteroids, not ships, but giant space rocks that the humans had somehow turned into weapons. Using powerful engines, they accelerated these massive stones to incredible speeds and sent them crashing into the alien fleet. "Shields up," Thekron ordered, but the energy barriers that protected his ships were designed to stop laser beams and plasma bolts. They had never been tested against huge chunks of rock moving at thousands of miles per hour. The first asteroid struck a Viridian cruiser and shattered both the shield and the ship's crystal hull. Pieces of broken spacecraft spun away into space, glittering like deadly diamonds. Lieutenant Commander Oh Sung-won piloted his small fighter through the chaos, weaving between the massive alien ships. His craft was tiny compared to the enemy vessels, but that was exactly the point. The alien weapons were built to fight other big ships, not small, fast targets. "Target their sensor arrays," he told his squadron over the radio. "Blind them first, then we can hit their engines." His fighters swarmed over the alien ships like angry bees, firing precise shots at communication dishes and sensor equipment. Within minutes, several alien vessels found themselves deaf and blind in the middle of a battle, but the humans had more surprises. From hidden positions throughout the solar system, they launched clouds of tiny robots. These drone swarms looked like glittering dust of the alien sensors, but each speck was actually a miniature explosive device. The drones found their way into alien engine exhausts and weapon ports. They crawled along the hulls of enemy ships like metallic insects, looking for weak spots. When they found them, they exploded all at once, causing critical systems to fail. This is not warfare. One of Thekron's officers gasped as another Crothan ship lost power and began drifting helplessly. This is madness. Captain Limdo Hyan, emerging from his asteroid hiding place, smiled grimly as he watched the alien fleet falling apart. "No," he said to his crew, "this is evolution." The humans had studied alien military tactics for years. They knew exactly how the Galactic Council's forces would attack, how they would move, how they would think. The aliens followed ancient rules of combat that had worked for thousands of years. But humans had never learned those rules. On Earth, warfare had always been about survival, not honor. Humans cheated, lied, used every dirty trick they could think of. They attacked when enemies expected them to retreat. They hid when enemies expected them to stand and fight. Most importantly, humans had learned to use their enemies' strengths against them. The alien ships were big and powerful, which made them slow and hard to maneuver. The alien formations were perfect and orderly, which made them predictable. The alien commanders were proud and confident, which made them careless. From her command center on Luna, Dr. Kim Yuna watched the battle through hundreds of cameras placed throughout the solar system. The alien fleet was not destroyed, but it was completely helpless. Ship after ship lost power, lost weapons, lost the ability to fight. "Signal all units," she commanded. "Begin capture operations. We want prisoners, not corpses. These aliens are to teach us everything they know about the galaxy." War Commander Thekron sat in his command chair, staring at the screen showing his defeated fleet. In 30 years of military service, he had never seen anything like this. The humans had not just beaten them. They had made galactic military doctrine look foolish and outdated. For the first time in his life, he wondered if being the strongest was enough. 3 days later, the once mighty Galactic Council fleet floated helplessly throughout the Sol system. Not a single ship had been destroyed, but none could fight anymore. Human capture teams moved carefully from vessel to vessel, providing medical care to wounded aliens and studying their technology. War Commander Thekron sat in his command chair, no longer the proud warrior who had entered the system. His flagship's engines were dead, his weapons offline, his communications working only because the humans allowed it. Around him, his officers stared at their screens in shocked silence. "Sir," his medical officer reported quietly, "the humans are treating our wounded better than we treat our own soldiers. They're using their own medical supplies to help our crews." Thekron nodded slowly. This confused him more than the military defeat. In galactic warfare, prisoners were usually treated poorly. Winners showed their strength by making losers suffer. But these humans seemed to care about alien lives they had never met before. On the other side of the galaxy, emergency alarms blared throughout the Crystal Palace on Nexus Prime. High Arbiter Vexdal stood before a massive holographic display, showing the impossible. Their most powerful fleet defeated by creatures they called primitives just days ago. "How?" demanded the Viridian representative, her crystal body flashing angry red colors. "Their technology is decades behind ours. Their ships are built from simple metals. They should not even be able to hurt our vessels." The answer came from their own intelligence reports, transmitted by the few alien ships still able to communicate. The humans had not tried to match Galactic Council technology. Instead, they had found entirely different ways to fight. "They turned rocks into weapons," reported one surviving captain. "They used tiny robots like a disease. They attacked from directions we never expected. They broke every rule of proper warfare." Rules. The Crothan military advisor clicked his claws in frustration. What do humans know about rules? They are children playing with forces they do not understand. But deep down, Every alien leader in the room knew the truth. The humans had understood something that the galaxy had forgotten. That survival was more important than honor. That winning mattered more than fighting fairly. The final humiliation came when a communication request arrived directly from Earth. The council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Lee Hanna appeared on the main screen. This time, she was not laughing. Her face was calm and serious, but her eyes held a strength that made even the most powerful aliens uncomfortable. "High Arbiter Vextal," she began, her voice carrying clearly across thousands of light years. "We are returning your ships and crews unharmed. Our medical teams have treated your wounded. Our engineers have repaired your life support systems, and your people have been fed with our food." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We are also providing you with complete tactical recordings of this engagement. Study them carefully. Learn from them. Consider them humanity's gift to galactic civilization." Vextal's blue skin darkened with anger, but he remained silent. What could he say? His fleet had been defeated by beings he considered barely intelligent. "This engagement," Lee Hanna continued, "represents humanity's formal application to join the Galactic Council, not as subjects begging for mercy, but as equals offering partnership." Equals. Vextal finally found his voice. "You are a single planet. We represent thousands of worlds." Lee Hanna smiled, and this time there was no humor in it. "Numbers mean nothing if you cannot adapt. Your thousands of worlds all think the same way, fight the same way, solve problems the same way. Humanity offers something the galaxy has forgotten: the ability to change, to grow, to find new solutions to old problems." On Earth, President Cho Min-soo watched the transmission from his office in Seoul. Around him sat his top advisors, including Admiral Park Ji-ho and Dr. Kim Yuna. They had spent months preparing for this moment. "The galaxy is stagnating," Dr. Kim had explained in her report. "Every species follows the same patterns, uses the same strategies, thinks the same thoughts their ancestors thought thousands of years ago. They have forgotten how to evolve." Admiral Park nodded in agreement. "Our victory was not about superior weapons or larger numbers. It was about thinking differently. The aliens could not imagine that anyone would fight the way we fought." Back on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council faced an impossible choice: accept humanity as equals, or risk a war they now knew they could not win. Reports were already coming in from across the galaxy. Other species were secretly contacting Earth, wanting to learn human military techniques. War Commander Thekron, still sitting on his disabled flagship, made a decision that would change his life. He opened a communication channel to the human ship that had captured his vessel. "Human captain," he said slowly, "I have fought in 50 battles across 20 worlds. I have commanded fleets that conquered entire systems. But I have never seen warfare like this. I request permission to study your tactics." Captain Lim Do-hyun appeared on his screen, surprise evident on his face. "You want to learn from us?" "I want to understand how my people became so limited in our thinking." Thekron replied honestly. "Perhaps it is time for this old warrior to learn new tricks." For the first time in galactic history, the defeated were teaching the victors. And somewhere in that exchange, the future of the galaxy began to change. 6 months after the battle that changed everything, the galaxy looked completely different. The old Galactic Council building on Nexus Prime sat mostly empty. Instead of demanding obedience from weaker species, the remaining alien leaders found themselves asking humanity for help with problems they could no longer solve alone. President Cho Min-soo stood in his office in Seoul, reading reports from across the galaxy. 12 different species had secretly asked Earth for military training. 5 others wanted human engineers to help improve their outdated technology. Even the proud Crothan Empire had requested permission to send young officers to human military academies. "Dr. Kim Yuna, your analysis, please," President Cho said as a science advisor entered the room. "Sir, the change is happening faster than we expected," Dr. Kim replied, placing a data tablet on his desk. "The aliens are discovering that their old ways of doing things simply do not work anymore. They built their entire civilization on the idea that the strongest should rule, but they forgot that intelligence and creativity are forms of strength too." Through the large windows of his office, President Cho could see something that would have been impossible just months ago: alien spacecraft landing at Seoul's expanded spaceport, not as conquerors or demanding tribute, but as students eager to learn. On Nexus Prime, High Arbiter Vexdal faced the most difficult decision of his long life. The Galactic Council was falling apart. Species that had followed galactic law for thousands of years were now making their own alliances directly with Earth. Some were even copying human military tactics in their own local conflicts. "Sir," his advisor reported nervously, "the Viridian Empire has announced they're withdrawing from the Council entirely. They say they want to form their own partnership with humanity." Vexdal's shoulders sagged. The crystal beings had been among his most loyal supporters. If even they were abandoning the old ways, then perhaps it was time to accept the inevitable. "Prepare a formal communication to Earth," he said quietly. "We will offer humanity full membership in a reformed galactic assembly, not as a council that rules, but as a partnership between equals." The ceremony took place in Geneva, in a specially built hall large enough to accommodate representatives from 47 different species. For the first time in galactic history, humans and aliens sat together as partners rather than rulers and subjects. Ambassador Lee Hanna stepped up to the speaking platform, wearing a simple blue dress instead of the formal diplomatic robes favored by other species. Her speech would be broadcast to thousands of worlds across the galaxy. "Friends," she began, using a word that had never been spoken at a galactic gathering before, "we accept your invitation to join this new galactic assembly. But we want to be clear about what humanity brings to this partnership." The alien representatives leaned forward, eager to hear what the species that had defeated their greatest military power would demand. "We do not offer you advanced weapons or superior technology," Lee Hanna continued. "We offer you something more valuable: the courage to question old ideas, the willingness to try new solutions, and the understanding that sometimes impossible is just something no one has figured out how to do yet." In the audience, War Commander Thekron sat next to Colonel Bei Miho, the human officer who had pretended to panic during the battle. Over the past months, they had become unlikely friends, sharing stories of their different military traditions. "Your people fight like they are always outnumbered," Thekron had observed during one of their conversations. "We usually are," Bei had replied with a smile. "On Earth, humans were never the biggest or strongest creatures. We survive by being smarter, more adaptable, and more stubborn than anything else." As Lee Hanna finished her speech, she announced humanity's first major contribution to galactic civilization: the establishment of innovation centers on 12 different worlds. These facilities would be staffed by both humans and aliens, working together to solve problems that had seemed impossible under the old ways of thinking. Captain Lim Do-Hyen, now promoted to admiral, received his new orders that same day. He would command humanity's first deep space exploration fleet, but with a mission unlike any in galactic history. Instead of conquering new worlds, they would search for other species like humanity had been overlooked, underestimated, dismissed as primitive by the galaxy's established powers. "There are probably hundreds of species out there," Dr. Kim explained to him during his briefing. "Young civilizations that the old Galactic Council ignored because they seem weak or unimportant. We need to find them before they make the same mistake we almost made." "What mistake was that?" Admiral Lim asked. "Believing that being small meant being helpless," she replied. "Every species deserves a chance to show what they can contribute to galactic civilization." As his fleet prepared to depart Earth, Admiral Lim thought about the journey ahead. Somewhere out there were other worlds full of creatures that the galaxy had written off as unimportant. Other species that might surprise everyone with their creativity, their determination, their refusal to give up when things looked impossible. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders that no one had yet discovered. And for the first time in thousands of years, it was also full of hope that the future might be different from the past. The age of human leadership had begun not with conquest, but with the simple idea that everyone deserved a chance to prove what they could do.